Welcome and thank you for joining us. I'm Jackie Ives, your host for Make 'Em Fall Madly in Love Summit. 21 experts share keys and tools to help you discover how to attract love, keep it real, and make it last forever. And today we have an incredible speaker who's going to shed some light just on that, on what attracts and keeps a man. And Suzanne Oshima, I'm so grateful that you decided to be an expert on this panel. Thank you so much for being here today.
Jackie, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Well, we're dying to hear about what attracts and keeps a man. But before we dive into the topic, I would love to tell the audience just a little bit more about you.
Right.
And so you are a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette. And you're also founder of Single in Stilettos. I love that. You've worked with hundreds of single men and women to help them uncover the core issues of what may be preventing or blocking them from finding love. And you've also helped them transform and elevate their dating lives to meet, attract, and keep the right one. I love the name of your what you founded, the Single in Stilettos. That's so great. And you say that you go from single in stilettos to engaged in stilettos.
Exactly, because I wanted to empower women to be single in stilettos, to be proud about it, and just enjoy your time being single.
And so what does attract and keep a man?
So I can't give you all my tips in this one interview, but I'm going to give you the top 5 things that I hear from not only my male clients that I work with in my matchmaking service, but also I've interviewed thousands of men, both professionals that work in this industry, but also just single men in general. And there's certain things that keep coming up over and over again. So I'm going to give you the top 5 that I hear all the time.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so the first thing, and this honestly shouldn't come as a surprise to any of the ladies out there, but the number one thing for a man that will attract him is physical attraction. And it's really important to realize that men are wired very differently than women, because what I hear differently with women is that obviously there needs to be some sort of physical attraction, but that's not the end-all be-all for women. Like, women will get to know a guy, and if she's attracted to him in a different way, like his personality or his confidence or certain things like that, or the way he treats her, that can attract her over his looks. Like, women don't always go for the hot guy, because we all know sometimes the hot guy doesn't deliver all the other things that we want. But for men, if men are not physically attracted, they will not go for the woman. It's the number one thing. But it's important for women to realize, though, that physical attraction means something different for everybody. So you don't have to be the skinny supermodel. You can be just the best version of yourself, and that's what's going to attract a man. So don't think that you have to be skinny, because actually a lot of my male clients will say they don't want the super skinny supermodel.
Fantastic. So I love that you're saying just be the best version of yourself. That is just, and that's really all we can do. And stop just showing up more authentically in our relationships and putting ourselves out there and just loving ourselves unconditionally the way we are is so attractive.
It is, and that's actually my second tip. Is it's about self-confidence. And men tell me all the time that insecure women are a big turnoff. So you need to know your self-worth and know what you have to offer a man. That's really important. So I know this sounds funny, because you may think, well, I know what I have to offer a man, but I actually want women to do this exercise. I actually make my clients do this exercise, because until you physically see it on paper, all the great things about yourself, that's when that will build up your confidence. And so when the wrong guy disappears, you won't get all freaked out about, oh, why did he disappear? Because you're going to know that you're the best version of yourself, and he's missing out.
I love it. Okay, so that's 2 tips. And they're really valuable. I hope the audience is writing this down, because just knowing your self-worth is such a huge part of not being insecure. Because when we don't know who we really are, we look to others to define us, and so that doesn't go over too well with men. They don't like that, apparently. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. And, I just want to add in one other thing to that point, is that a lot of men have told me that they've met beautiful women that are like super skinny supermodels, and they're beautiful, but if they lack self-confidence, that's actually a turnoff. And I had an audience of men one time, and I posed this question to them one time, and I said, would you rather date the beautiful supermodel that was insecure about herself, or would you rather date, the average girl who's beautiful but not a model, but she's super confident in who she is? And they all said this one, the one who's more confident and knows what she has to offer. So that's important for ladies to realize.
And so how would you recommend a woman would become more self-confident? What steps can you take to become more confident in yourself?
So I think it's like I said, you need to really, and I make my clients do this, is write down on a piece of paper all your assets, okay? And then write down the things where you feel like you lack in, like you would like to make better. So I want you to, and don't be shy about it. This is where I want you to say that I'm great, and write down all those great things, and then see where things that you lack, and those are the things that you need to work on, and that's going to build up your self-confidence. Because usually the things that where you feel like you lack, that's what's downplaying your confidence, because you feel like you're not adequate in some way. So it's time to work on those things, but then also appreciate and know that all your assets are great things that you have to offer a man. And again, like I said, if you know your self-worth, when a man walks out the door or disappears, you're not going to pine away at him, and you're going to go, he misses out because I'm a great woman and he's missing out on me.
I love it. So just taking an inventory of how you're showing up, all of your assets, as you said, and then just really giving an honest look at that and seeing where you'd like to improve, and work in those areas to bolster up your confidence. And I find when I'm working on myself, I feel so much better about myself because I am taking an active approach to being the best version of myself, as you clearly stated in the beginning of the interview. So.
Exactly.
So what are some other things that women can do to attract a man?
Okay, so the third thing is it's about showing appreciation. And this is so important. And I'm going to talk in terms of when you first start dating him, and then also when you're in a relationship, about showing appreciation. Okay, so when you go out on a first date with a man, is he takes you out, he pays for things, he plans the whole date, and he treats you nice and blah, blah, blah. And this sounds so obvious, but I can't tell you how many of my male clients will say to me that if a woman doesn't say thank you, and a lot of women out there don't say thank you for the first date, that's a deal breaker for them. So you want to show appreciation. If he took you out, thank him right after the meal, and thank him the next day. Send him a text message and say, thank you, I had a wonderful time. Whether or not you like him or not, it's the proper thing to do. Now,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was your question?
I was just going to say, do you find because you suggested this that women forget to do it, or maybe they didn't have a good time, like you said, so they just blow it off? Because gratitude is so attractive. Again, gratitude and being grateful and generous lavish with your praise. I mean, it's cost nothing to compliment or thank someone for doing something nice for you. And so, do you hear this a lot? Do you see that women aren't doing that? Why is that?
I think, and again, I'm hearing this from my male clients and men that I've interviewed, is they almost feel like women expect men to do this, that because you're the man, you should take me out and you should pay for things and you should plan everything, and so it's expected. Well, of course it's expected, but there's also the proper etiquette of it's expected for you to say thank you, right?
Absolutely, yes. I've seen that before. I know that there is a level of expectation with women, and so just kind of lowering the expectation and just seeing what they're willing to do, what they're offering, and then just being grateful for that. And if it's not what you had in mind, then, like you said, you thank them and move on to
wish them well.
The next opportunity.
Exactly. So, and the next part I want to talk about in showing appreciation is when you start dating a guy for the long term. Like, let's say you've been dating now for a couple of months, or maybe you're 6 months in, or even a year. Because I want to talk about showing appreciation, because this is what's going to keep a man, is that you want to show appreciation for all the things that he does for you. So as you start dating a guy, he becomes your boyfriend and he starts doing things for you, like whether it's fixing your car or maybe he fixed your bathroom toilet or whatever it was, because men like to fix things. Show your appreciation. Yes, we know that they can do it so easily, but just show him, God, you know, I'm so happy you did that. Show him that it makes you happy, because I'm telling you, when you show your appreciation for things that they do for you, men just glow. They glow. It's just like when a woman gets a compliment, like, oh, you look so beautiful. That's like to a man when you show him appreciation for what he did for you. Because they feel like, honestly, and it's so funny, I've tested this myself, is you'll watch a man's chest puff out like he's like, oh, yeah, I'm great.
I love that. Yes, it's true. Just constantly just reassuring them in a way. It's just kind of stroking them a little bit, but it's also just a part of, like you said, just being in gratitude. And men do like to do things for women, and if you just allow them to show up for you and do things, they'll continue to do it. So this is just such an important part with all these strong, powerful women that want to get it all done themselves. They have to like step back and allow men to step in and help them because they're wired to do that, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because I run into that a lot, is these strong, independent women that are like, I can do everything myself, I don't need a man. You know what? That's actually a huge turnoff to a man, and men want to feel needed. I'll give you a tip. Have you ever heard of Dr. Ian Smith? He wrote a book, The Truth About Men.
No, I haven't, but please tell us about it.
Okay, so he came out with this great quote, and I've always remembered it. And ladies, if you remember this one quote, it will go far in life, in your dating life. And also, even when you get into a relationship or you get married, is that men want to feel needed and women want to feel wanted. And if you remember that, it will help you. So I know you can do all these things like fix whatever it is, but if you have a man around that you're dating, let him do it, because it makes him feel good that he actually helped you do something.
You know, I noticed in my own experience that I'm engaged now, and in the beginning I was the woman that had been doing it all, because that's how I needed to show up in my life. I needed to do everything. Mm-hmm. And when I met my fiance, he offered to do a few things that I noticed. Even though I could do it, I asked him to do it, and when he did, and I thanked him, he became, like you said, he got really confident and really liked helping. And so now I really have to make a point to ask him and allow him to help me, even though I'm capable of doing it, because he gets so much joy out of it. It makes him feel, like you said, needed. And so that's such a great point that you made. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. It's so important, and I used to make that mistake when I was in my 20s. I used to be like, oh, I could do everything, because my mom taught me to do everything, so I was like, I could do everything, and I didn't realize until I got into the matchmaking and date coaching industry. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. So, yeah, that's a great tip for these strong, independent women. Let him do stuff for you.
And so with that quote, men want to feel needed and women want to feel wanted. And so we can let men know that they're needed by inviting them to do things for us that they want to do and thanking them for that. And what about women? How do they feel wanted from men? What do men want to do for women to make them feel wanted?
What women want from a guy in order to feel wanted is they want compliments, and they want the guy to say, oh, you're so beautiful. And it's almost the same. The want and the need is that they want to do things for the man and things like that, just like the man does, but he wants to feel needed. So that's important. Okay. It's just like, here's a good example. So if we reverse this, where if a woman was cooking dinner for her husband every night and he just took it for granted and he would eat the dinner and she would make a special effort, make a special dinner, his favorite dinner or whatever it was, and he would just eat it and not say anything, that would make women feel pretty crappy, right? But if he said, wow, this is the most amazing, I can't believe you spent hours cooking this, it's so good, this is better than any other restaurant that I've ever been to, how would that make you feel, ladies? Pretty awesome, right?
Absolutely. We love being acknowledged and validated for our worth. And when a man compliments us and validates us and notices the little things we do, that just changes everything. We want to do more. And
I know, and it's funny because these things sound so simple, but I can't tell you how many men. It's like I said, I've interviewed thousands of men, and they tell me these are the things that women are lacking in, and that turns them off, actually. So, which brings me to my fourth tip, which is to be supportive. And when I say that, a lot of women, and we're talking about the male-female dynamic, think that men are strong, they don't need, the emotional support that like women do. But once you get into a relationship with a man wants to feel like you're supporting him both personally and professionally, and it's very important to remember that. So while I know it's harder for men to open up with their emotions, if you feel like something's going on with him, you want to talk to him gently about it. Don't make him feel like, oh, you should just get over it because you're a man or whatever it is. Just talk to him and don't interrogate him. Men hate to be interrogated. And when it comes to his professional life, if he's going for a promotion, you really want to cheer him on, become that cheerleader, because a man wants to know that you're going to support him in both parts of his life, and that's what's going to last through the long term. If you're not there through thick and thin, he's not going to want to be with you for the long term.
Wow, that's really true, that finding that balance between showing up in the relationship but also showing up and to support him in his career, because that is what's so important to men. And not that it's not important to women, of course, but we're talking about what's important to men, and having their career, it's everything. And so if you can strike that balance of being totally supportive in both areas, you've got yourself a great relationship.
Exactly. And that's what I know every woman wants, is a great relationship. And these are key things. Again, I didn't give you all my tips on what attracts and keeps a man, but again, I gave you my top 5 on what I hear from men.
So those are great top 5. So now I want to hear the things that we do need to know about what turns a man off, what makes him disappear, what are things that we're doing that sabotages this a potential great relationship.
Okay, so again, I can't give it to you all, but I'll give you my top 4 that I hear a lot of men say. And my first one, it kind of has to do more with the first date, because I hear a lot of men say that women talk too much on the first date, and all she does is talk about herself and everything that she likes to do, but she doesn't listen to him and listen to what he likes to do or ask him questions about himself. And it's a huge turn-off to men. If you're the type of woman that can talk forever, and I know a lot of women can talk, I can talk, you can talk, but you want to make sure on a first date especially, because that's where you're making the first impression, is you want to make sure there's the balance of you're sharing information, but you're also getting information back about him because you want to get to know him.
That is so valuable. Listening is a key, and just really listening, not waiting for them to take a breath so that you can begin your story again, but really listening to what they have to say and then allowing them to expand on it. I know I have made that mistake of talking, over talking, and I catch it, and I'm like, wow, I need to stop talking. They aren't interested in all the things that we're interested in.
Right. Yeah, and I've had guys say that, is that one of my clients would say, oh, all she talked about was shopping on a first date, and he was like, I was bored out of my mind. It's like, ladies, I know you like certain things, but also think about what's going to pique his interest. Shopping is not going to pique his interest.
Yeah, I don't think they want to hear that on the first date. I would think that would turn them off, because they might even feel, I don't know, do you think, Suzanne, they might even feel that they're going to be expected to take you shopping if you start talking about something like that?
Yeah, and I think it would send up a couple of red flags. Number one, that's all she likes to do, but is she a shopaholic? And yes, is she going to expect me to take her shopping all the time? I mean, I live in New York, and a lot of women can be that way, where they expect a man to take them shopping. And I always find that weird, because I'm originally from California, where women weren't like that, from San Francisco, that is, and women weren't like that. And so when I moved out here, I always thought that was weird. What do you mean, take you shopping?
Wow, so there's high expectations. I guess demographically, every area has, things that women, we need to work on. So what are other things that women do to turn a man off? The talking, over-talking one is huge. Glad you
Yeah,
brought
that's huge.
that up.
And that's not only on the first date, that can be even throughout the relationship. So ladies, keep this in mind throughout the relationship. You don't want to keep talking and talking, because men, this is what men feel like sometimes. They're like this. They're like, oh my God, she won't shut up. So again, you want to make sure it's a conversation, an equal conversation. So my second tip is about being too busy. Okay, so I see this a lot, is that there, again, we were talking about the strong independent women, well, the strong independent career women, and I know we're all trying to make it in our careers, we're trying to climb the corporate ladder, do whatever, get the job or whatever, but the thing is if you're too busy, it's a huge turnoff to a man, and I'll give you an example, is if a man calls you up that you've met online, let's say you're doing online dating, and you exchanged a couple emails online, and then you now switched it to phone calls, and he's trying to ask you out on a date, and he says, okay, well, how does your week look like next week? And you're like, oh, well, I'm really busy next week. I'm working late all these days, and then I have plans, and blah, blah, blah. And then he asks you about the following week, and you're like, yeah, that week's not good. If it takes you more than 3 weeks to plan a date, it's a huge turnoff to a man. No man is going to wait for you for 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks for a date. And it's a huge turnoff because, ladies, and I get that you're busy, but you have to remember one thing. The message that you're sending to men is, yes, I'm really busy, and he may get that, but the other message that you're sending to him is, even if I really like her and I want to date her, she's never going to have time for me anyways.
Right. I'm really glad that you brought that up. And so, just what's the appropriate time span do you recommend if you, like you say, you go through the process, you meet online, you're emailing, then you decide to you're going to talk to them on the phone. How long should you wait to see them? Is there a waiting period, or?
Well, I don't like to set time frames because it really depends on the dynamics between the two people and how it's going. Because you also don't want to rush it. Like if he says, "What are you doing tonight?" Because then it's almost like, "Oh, you're a last-minute thought." But also, again, so you want to find an equal balance. You don't want it to go out 3 weeks. And obviously, ladies, if you're really busy, you're really busy. But you want to give him the notion that you're going to make time for him. Go, you know, it's an unusual, like, so let's just say you're really busy the next 2 weeks, like you're traveling for work and stuff is going on. You can just say to him, it's important to like give a little bit more information about being busy. You know what? I'm usually not this crazy busy. The next 2 weeks are just a little crazy for me because I'm traveling for work and I have friends in town or whatever's going on. But after that, it's not going to be as busy, and I would love to see you after that. You want to show him that you want to see him, because otherwise he's going to think that you're just kind of brushing him off.
Okay, that's wonderful. So does that principle apply for men as well? If a woman finds that a man is too busy, what do you recommend a woman does with that?
There's a fine line, and what I'm going to tell you is, yes, obviously men can be too busy also, but sometimes when a man is too busy, it also means that he's not interested.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say that. I think that's code for starting to drift away and hoping that you maybe figure it out so he doesn't have to tell you. I think men are a little passive-aggressive about gently letting you down by just no contact or fading out.
Yeah, and this is I love that you reversed it, because it's really good for women to realize this. Is, ladies, here's the thing: in the first couple of dates, is you shouldn't be pursuing the guy trying to get him to go out with you. Trust me, if a man likes you and he wants to go out with you, he will make the time, and he will find a way to go out with you. Okay, but if you're constantly calling him and texting him, trying to figure out a night to go out, then I'm going to tell you right now, he's just not that into you. Okay, because I'm telling you, men pursue what they want, and you shouldn't have to pursue that hard in the beginning stages of dating.
Yeah, I'm really glad you clarified that, because I've seen that before, and it just doesn't work when the woman initiates and pursues the man. You may get him for a period of time, but you're not going to keep him. As far as I've seen, my experience is just men love to pursue women, and if they're, like you said, if they are interested in you, they're going to move a mountain to get to you.
Yeah, and I will tell you that even some of my male clients have even said to me, if a woman is too aggressive and she's like is coming after him, even if they liked her in the beginning stages, it can be a turnoff where they kind of pull back and they're like, I don't know why she's pursuing me. Is she desperate? And so, ladies, I want you to think about this in reverse, too. When a man comes too forward at you and is always asking you out, calling you, and texting you in the beginning stages, even if you liked him in the beginning, isn't it kind of a turnoff because you're kind of like, ew, he's like desperate.
Okay, so there's good things to watch for. Did you have
Exactly.
another tip on ways that we can sabotage or turn men off?
Yeah, so the last two tips I'm going to give you get more in terms of as you start dating a guy and it becomes more of a relationship, because these are two big things that turn off men big time. And when I say them, I guarantee you, ladies, every single woman out there has done these two things. Okay, I've even done it. I've made these two mistakes. So the first one is when you're dating a guy or you're in a relationship or you're married, whatever it is, and he does something to irritate you or he hurts you or whatever it is, and you pretend that nothing is wrong. That drives men crazy. Because how many times has he made you upset or pissed you off, right? And then he asks you, what's wrong, and you say nothing when something is really wrong, and then this is exactly what men do. Men, you have to think of men as very simple. They take everything for face value. When you say nothing is wrong, he says, great, nothing's wrong, it was all in my head, and he goes about his day, right? But when he goes about his day and thinks that nothing's wrong, what happens to the woman? She gets more pissed off because he hasn't figured out what she's pissed off about. And she's like, if he doesn't figure it out, I'm going to be even more mad, right? How many women have done that? You've done that, Jackie, haven't you?
Yeah. Yes, men can't read your mind, ladies. That's the thing. They can't, and we need to be better communicators, and to have the confidence, like you said in the beginning, to maturely explain what it is that upset us, or maybe we had a misunderstanding, and to be able to just have an adult conversation.
Exactly. And I love that you said that because that's what I always tell women is that men are not mind readers, ladies. And if something is bothering you, you need to tell him, but I'm going to preface this with be careful how you say it because you don't want to reprimand him, which brings me into tip number 4 is you never want to say to a man, we need to talk. It's the worst 4 words you can ever say to any man. You can ask any man out there that you know. If a woman says that, they hate it. And you have to think of it in these terms, ladies, is that when you say that to a man, all he thinks is, what did I do wrong? Because there's nothing good that ever comes out of that. You're either going to tell him something he did wrong, something you're mad about, whatever it is. It's not that you never say we need to talk because I need to tell you how awesome of a man you are, right?
Right.
So you never want to say those 4 words to a man, ever, ever. If you need to talk to him, you just need to talk to him and talk to him in a calm manner and not in an accusatory or condescending way, and just tell him lightly what's bothering you or things like that, and just tell him how you feel. That's what's important.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important to remember that men are sensitive, and when you do say we need to talk, I think they think the worst. They go to the end of the story, like, uh-oh, what did I do? And right away, I think it may be a pattern of women doing this, and now men feel like they've done something wrong, and they're going to be in trouble and get, like you said, reprimanded. That's the
Yeah.
last thing we want to do is to reprimand anyone, really.
I know it's almost like their mother saying it to them. That's how you have to think of it, and that's why their defenses go immediately up, and they're just like, and they don't want to talk. And ladies, I know this has happened to you, is where you've said it to a guy that you were in the early stages of dating, and you've said we need to talk, and then he disappeared. Like you said it over the phone, and then you never heard from him again. It happened to me. I was dating a guy, and I said we need to talk, and he disappeared completely.
Yeah, I'm careful about that too because I've learned, and it's just I don't ever say that over the phone or in a text. If I want to talk, I wait until we're actually together, and there seems to be an opening where I say, "Is this a good time to talk to you about what happened the other day?" And ask their permission and instead of just dumping it on them and expecting them to just be ready to discuss something.
Yeah, you actually brought up a great tip, and I've heard that too before, is that men like to be asked permission. So just like you said, don't dump it on them. Ask for it. Is this a good time? Because you don't want to bring it up if he's got a million things on his mind or whatever it is. And I'll give you another tip about bringing it up. And when you do bring it up and he says, yes, this is a good time or whatever it is, and I cannot take credit for this tip. I got this from a male dating coach that I was interviewing, and he told me this tip, and I was like, oh my God, this is a great tip, is when you actually have to have the talk, is you don't want to sit face to face because it's confrontational. You want to sit side to side because then he feels like you're on his side and that you're not attacking him.
Wow, I love that. Energetically, I can see how that would be. Just sitting next to him, it's like the guard is down, and you're, like you said, on the same team, and you're just
Yeah.
trying to talk with him, not accuse him or scold him or anything. So, wow, this is really valuable advice. I know the ladies out there are hopefully writing all of this down, but you're also providing a wonderful ebook, a wonderful gift for the audience. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So again, based on all my interviews and all the men I've interviewed, I wrote an ebook on the top 10 secrets on what attracts a man and what turns him off. And you can get it through the link through Jackie, or you can go to singleonstilettos.com.
Thank you. I resonate with all of the tips that you shared. I know through all your years of experience and thousands of interviews, you're really spot on with all of this information. And it's really, like you said, it seems simple, but women fail to just continue to follow these tips. And then they wonder why they're alone or why they're attracting the men that they don't want in their lives. But so thank you for providing the free gift. I think that is just so valuable to take away and to have, jump into that opportunity. And I want to let the ladies know where they can find that link again is in the email body where you signed up for the summit. You can find the link to that free gift that Suzanne's offering. And thank you, Suzanne, so much for being here and sharing with our audience this incredible inside scoop on how to attract a man and keep him.
Thank you so much for having me, Jackie. I really had fun.
Okay, I wish you all the luck, and I will be following you online and keeping in touch. Thank you so much.
Great.